I've heard of this thing called Ultimatum that's coming out. Now, the Ultimate Universe was created to be almost continuity-free. Crossovers are built on continuity, so how are you navigating the divide between trying to keep it, free to new readers and bringing a crossover?
Well, one of the things in talking to Joe Quesada and Dan Buckley at the top at Marvel was that as much as it was created to be a continuity-free, once you do something for 7 years, you start to create your own continuity. And so we started talking about what would be the best way to, sort of return it to where it was without absolutely forgiving on what had come. And so I've been working very closely with Brian Michael Bendis, who was one of the original architects. I've been talking a lot to Mark Millar, who was the other one of the architects, about really what made those characters special in the first place. And Ultimatum became a story where we could it's not a reboot as much as that there's a cataclysmic event which will allow us to change the status quo in that universe and really give us a new chance to revisit them in a way that sort of you had at the very beginning. So it's the opportunity to do an origin story all over again. And for us, it's just been a great deal of fun.
A regular crossover expands with all these other different books like Frontline and things like that. Is the Ultimatum going to have something like that, or is it just going to be self-contained?
The good part about the Ultimate Universe is that at its core, there are only 4 books. There's the X-Men book, there's Ultimates, there's Ultimate Spider-Man, and Ultimate Fantastic Four. And so Aaron Colite, who I work with at Heroes, and who's just taken over Ultimate X-Men with 94, and Joe Kasky, who I also work with at Heroes, is taking over Ultimate FF. And so they're doing the ones that run, that coincide with Ultimatum. Bendis will be staying on Ultimate Spider-Man. And again, I think the most important thing is that those stories tie into what we're going on. You don't absolutely have to read those stories in order to know what's going on. But because there's only the commitment of 3 other books, there's no Frontline, there's no other business like that. We're not creating a book to go along with it. Ultimatum takes the place of Ultimates. So all total, they're 4 books. And all total, it's only a 5-part miniseries. So it starts in November and it'll be over in February. And then whatever happens to those books, and there will be some surprises, will be something that people will find out very shortly after that. When we started talking about it, we didn't want it as big as that, but the first thing I ever did at Marvel was the Age of Apocalypse. And because there was no internet at the time, when we announced that we were going to stop all those books, people went insane. I mean, they really thought we were canceling the X-Men, and they didn't understand that, yes, we were, but then for 4 months we were going to do this thing called Age of Apocalypse. And I think that's as close as I can get to what Ultimatum's going to feel like. That there's going to be this, again, I keep using the word, cataclysmic event, which will enable us to tell stories that are around what's happened in a very organic kind of way.